People are really kind. People are enjoying the work that I've done. I don't know if I when I heard about Neil Peart, I immediately got to work on a Neil Peart piece. So that's if anybody's seen it. But I'm hoping that some super fan is gonna buy that one.
I would think so. Were you a big Rush fan growing up? Was Neil an influence on you as a drummer?
I think Neil has been an influence on every single drummer I know.
Yeah.
Just incredible. What a technician.
Did you ever have the chance to meet him?
Briefly, but more recently, they were rehearsing at the same place that we were. Unfortunately, I wasn't there. Phil was there. And Neil said to Phil, he said, if it wasn't for Rick Allen, electronic drums wouldn't exist. So I thought that was a huge compliment.
Yeah, indeed. So, along those lines, interesting you bring that up, because here on this cruise, I guess it was yesterday, 2 days ago, they presented you with a drum kit that someone made, a custom kit for you.
Yeah.
It's an all acoustic kit, but he had designed a pedal system, I guess similar to what you use, but was actually using, as opposed to electronics,
a real stick.
A real stick.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anything like that? Have you ever used an acoustic kit like that?
There's a company up in Michigan called Farmer Foot Drums, and they do something similar to that. Mm-hmm. But it was cool to see it, incorporated into a Yamaha drum kit that way. It's going to take a bit of getting used to, because when I play acoustic drums, I normally just use this. Very rarely do I ever use foot pedals.
When you first lost your arm, who came to you with the idea of the kit, the very first kit you used?
A friend of mine, a guy called Pete Hartley, and he said he'd been a friend for years in Sheffield, and he owned a local sort of electronics store. And when he came to visit me in hospital, he said, I could get you playing again. I've got this idea for these foot pedals. So as soon as the day I left hospital, I went straight to his store. He had it set up in the in the store, and I played it for about 5 minutes, and I was exhausted. Just going through everything that I'd gone through. I'd only just lost my arm like a month earlier, but I kept going with it, and finally got around to relearning. All the information was in my head. It was just how do I get that information out to the three limbs that I've got left?
Was it a driving thing? At that time, your headspace, was it, I'm going to get back there and I'm going to be the drummer still in Def Leppard? Or was it sort of like, well, maybe I can play for fun and for a hobby, but the idea of me rejoining my band is probably not realistic? What was your own personal feeling about it at that time?
When I first lost my arm, I didn't quite realize what was going on. I was kind of in an alternate sort of reality. A lot of pharmaceutical sort of, painkillers, this, that, and the other. But when I finally realized what had happened, I really didn't want to be here. I got really depressed. But then I remember Phil and Steve came to visit me in hospital, and it kind of gave me the charge that I needed. And around about that time, I really discovered the power of the human spirit, and that just elevated me. It just took me to a different level, and I was able to almost play right off the bat.
Wow, that's amazing. I'll tell you, I don't care how many years go by, what this guy does is so inspirational to so many, and the fact that you persevered and continue to play to this day, and it's amazing. My daughter, who is not very much into rock music, she's way into classical music, but she keeps an eye on the things that I do, and she knows the bands that I know and everything. She's 16 now, but a few years ago, she had to do a school project, and it was about someone she saw as a hero. And she said to me, Dad, who's the drummer that still plays in the rock band after losing his arm? And I told her about you. She said, he's the guy I'm going to do my project on.
That's very cool. You tell me that. That's such a huge compliment, especially for somebody
not coming from that, just looking at it saying, wow, look, you know, what you can overcome, you know?
No, that's so cool. You know, especially a younger person. You know, sort of seeing the value of what I've been through. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about what's going on now, because there's a lot going